The BBC is defending its decision not to air a fundraising appeal for the victims of the Gaza crisis. The televised appeal would be for the Disasters Emergency Committee, an organisation which represents a number of aid agencies. But the broadcaster says it does not want to compromise public confidence in its impartiality. Fergal Parkinson explains.
There is an urgent need for humanitarian aid in Gaza. So far, the death toll is more than 1,200, including nearly 300 children. Pictures broadcast around the world prompted the UK's Disaster Emergency Committee, an organisation which brings together 13 of the UK's biggest charities, including the Red Cross and Oxfam, to broadcast an appeal for donations. But the BBC has refused to cooperate, breaking a 46-year-old agreement. The chief executive of the emergency committee says he's very disappointed, as the money raised would help those who need it most in Gaza.
It's knowing that we won't be able to help those people that we've been seeing suffering the consequences of the conflict both in Gaza and in southern Israel. We know what there has to be done, and I think it means we won't be able to do as much as we would normally be able to do.
Many children are severely malnourished, and they need our help.
Previous calls for donations, like this one, broadcast last year and now available on the emergency organisation's website, have raised tens of millions of dollars for the UK's most popular charities.
Affected by the conflict.
In a statement, the BBC said the decision was made because of question marks about the delivery of aid in a volatile situation, and also to avoid any risk of compromising public confidence in the BBC's impartiality in the context of an ongoing news story. The decision by the BBC has angered many British Muslims, who now say they'll campaign to get the appeal broadcast.
What the BBC have got seriously mixed up when they talk about impartiality is airtime and politics. They have now begun playing politics with human lives and human suffering, and that's not what the BBC ought to be doing. When they talk about impartiality, it's to allow equal airtime and equal statements from both sides. Now we're talking about children dying.
The urgent need for aid in Gaza is obvious to most. What the appeal organisers now can't understand is why the UK broadcasters won't let that message get through to a previously generous British public.
Why are you so upset by the decision?
I'm upset because the tradition over the years has been that we collaborate, and you know yourself the power of the media. Your message goes into the homes across the world, and when people are seeing horrible things, suffering on their television or hearing it on their radios, it is very powerful if they're feeling motivated to do something, that there then is a simple and cost-effective way that they can show that they care. And that is not available to us.
What should the BBC do, though, in this scenario? I mean, ITV, another British broadcaster, has essentially echoed the BBC's comments in explaining the decision not to broadcast the appeal.
Again, all I can say is if there are journalistic problems with agreeing, then that's their call. We work on three simple principles that have always upheld the appeals. Is there overwhelming unmet need? Can the members of the DEC, which has the Red Cross, it has Islamic Relief, it has a raft of the leading charities, can they do something in a timely and effective way? And is there evidence of public concern? And we went to the broadcasters because we felt the three principles had been reached.
Now, they are taking on that point of overwhelming unmet need, because I mean there are other issues associated with delivering assistance to Gaza. One of those being that many governments around the world would like to give aid, would like to provide support, but are hesitant about doing so because of the difficulties in relation to who to give it to and how to deliver it, given the issues with who controls Gaza. Surely that too is part of this.
Yes, and that I think is a call that is on our side of the fence, and we are in the privileged position of having those charities that have got local staff and their families in Gaza. They have lived through the conflict and they have been doing their all. So any money raised by DC Appeal goes to those people on the ground. They are currently buying locally. Yes, a huge amount needs to be done in opening up access, but the role of the humanitarian is just to alleviate that immediate suffering, and we need, clearly, a little bit more cash to do that. The people are there ready to help. That was the basis of the appeal, and I'm just sorry that we haven't been able to find an agreement.
All right. Brendan Gormley, thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
You.
Well, if you'd like to find out more or to make a donation to the DEC's Gaza fundraising appeal, the web address is www.dec.org.uk, or you can call on +44, that's the UK's international dialing code, then 370 6060 900. That's +44 0 370 60 900.